Sitting inside my 2022 Tesla Model X, and today we have our first snowfall. I have the Nokian WRG4 all-weather tires on the car, and we're gonna be trying out and see how the car performs, what kind of efficiency we get when we drive to a long trip. We have 93% battery on the car. Take a look at the energy app. We have the trip over here, so the life projection is 53.2% to get there. So we'll see what kind of efficiency we'll get and if it's gonna make any changes driving to here when it's much colder out. Right now it's about 1 degree Celsius, and this is my first time ever driving the Model X in a little snow, something like that. So it's slushy outside. Here are the tires. So Nokian tires, WRG4 SUV. I have two 65/45 R20 here at the front, and we have two 75/45 R20 in the back. Here's what the Model X looks like. Just set up the GoPro. The garage had a heater, so it's still trying to adapt to the outside temperature. But 2 p.m, let's get on with this trip. Just arrived to the location. Looks beautiful. I mean, in person it's way different than it is in the video, but great drive here. I ended up using autopilot. It did give me a bit of warnings, like the visibility is limited, things like that. And then it started reducing the limit that I set. So let's say I set it to 110, it would try to slow down to like 80 kilometers an hour. It says here 2.5% less than the trip projection. So we did way better than the car expected me to do. Right here, we have the driving, which is 32.1% of the battery that used. Climate used 0.7%. We didn't do any supercharging, so I guess no battery conditioning used any battery. Elevation 4.3%. We have climbed up this mountain, so on our way down I should be getting better elevation, so that's nice. Everything else 1.2%. Let's look at the rated. Going uphill cost 9.8%, and going downhill saved 5.3% since you're last charged. That's how we got 4.3%, for example. Low tire pressure cost me 0.6% on the battery. We're at 40, we should be at 45, but the ride is much firmer when you're at 45 psi. I'm getting winter tires for this car soon, the Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5. If we look at the rated, for example, the car did consume 10.5% more than the vehicle estimates, and that could be because we're at 1 degree Celsius. So we could have done much better, but I mean, overall with the weather and all that, like, look at that. So that's how the trip went. I really wanted to do this test to see how the tires perform. They perform really good. It's a fun trip, beautiful here. And yeah, let's kind of look at outside real quick. So far the car is doing great. These Nokian WRG4 tires are pretty good for this kind of weather so far. I mean, there's not much snow on the ground, but it is slippery, and I did go up the mountains a little bit, but again, there's not a lot of snow on the ground, so I can't really know much about them, but they're doing really good, like way better than all seasons would have done. We've got some snow on it while it was parked here. Let me know which kind of look you like for the spoiler, like if it's white or if it's wrapped in this carbon fiber vinyl, for example. 1 Sentry mode event. False alarm, nothing much happened. At least we know everything's good. Delete this and go on our day. It's 6:26 p.m. We're at 53% battery, and I haven't drove much. It's still snowing, it's beautiful out here, but it is time to get back home. So let's walk up to the car, put in the address, and see what kind of trip we're looking ahead of us. Currently, I have 50% battery, 1 degrees outside, but the watch shows it's -2 degrees outside. Now, to get home, it says I should be there with 23% battery. It did not tell me to supercharge. So let's see how that goes. There's the trip, what it's expecting us to get. So let's see how efficient we will be on this drive. The time is 7:12 p.m. It says we should be home at 8:43 p.m. We arrived with 16% battery, 2 degrees Celsius. The lowest we had was 1 degrees. Even though my watch was showing me that we were like -2, -1. Hopefully my thermostat on the car is working because it never showed anything below 1 degrees today. I did end up missing my exit, so I took a little bit of detour, but at the time when I missed it, we were using 5.5% more energy during that time. We arrived with 15.9%, as you can see. If we look at the rated one, so this is when we just started the trip this afternoon. This is how the battery did. As you can see, we have drove 325.9 kilometers, which ended up using 66 kilowatt hours of battery. Average energy efficiency was 203 watt hours per kilometer. Low tire pressure costed us 1.6% on this trip. Going uphill costed 15.8%, and going downhill saved 14.9% since we last charged. So elevation was only 0.5% battery. So all the downhills we've done kind of gave back for all the hills we climbed up. So from 2 p.m. all the way until like 9:18, minus like 40 minutes, I was not in the car. We've used the climate 2.9% out of the battery. That is really cool. Driving used 67.5%, and then we didn't do any supercharging, so no any battery conditioning. Everything else used 3.5%. 0.4% is what the Sentry mode used while we were parked, for example. We did use more battery than the car anticipated, way before I even missed my exit. The distance we have left in the battery is 87 kilometers. And once you switch from battery to distance, you will see everything in kilometers, for example. So 190.9 kilometers consumed, which is 37 kilometers more than the car anticipated. When we arrived home, we were at 88.1 kilometers. This is our return trip. It seems like we've gained mileage on our way back because of all the downhills we've done. Rated, you can see here, elevation. Going uphill costed 87.1 kilometers, and going downhill saved 82.4 kilometers since we last charged. Low tire pressure costed 8.9 kilometers. So it seems like it's very efficient if you have 45 psi in your tires. Climate used 16.3 kilometers during this entire day from like 2 p.m. all the way until now. That is pretty cool. We consumed 412 kilometers of battery, which is 94.5 kilometers more than the estimated vehicle consumption during the entire trip that we had, probably due to the colder weather. Now we're at 4 degrees because I do have a garage heater. Tire pressure right now is at 39 psi, so I will be topping the tire up. That was a lot of range we lost just because of the tire pressures being lower. Pretty much frozen up. Luckily, I do have the Defense Plus PPF on the car, so this is all on the paint protection film and not really on the paint. Yep, everything's frozen. This is my first time ever having a paint protection film on my entire car. Let's plug in. Right now it's going to be power sharing with this Model Y. We're getting 22 amps, and whenever this car is done charging, it will send the full 48 amps to this car. As you can see, it's ramping up right now. That car stopped charging, so we'll get the entire 48 amps sent to this car. I love the power sharing with the wall connectors. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's road trip. The snow was beautiful. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time.